All right, doing another 30-minute game. I'll record 2 or 3 today because I got a little bit of time. The first game went very quickly, so I'm excited to see what we get in the second one. Got a caro-kann, e4, c6, d4, d5. Good. Our opponent is taking the full center. We saw in a recent game our opponent did not push their d-pawn, and it spelled their demise pretty quickly. Knight out to c3. This is the main line of the caro. We will take the pawn. They take back. We develop our knight out to f5. And I believe they retreat to g3, hitting our bishops, and then we retreat to g6. They may choose like a weakening move. I don't love this move for our opponent. Let's see what we can do here. I guess first things first, is their knight threatening anything else? Comes out to here, comes out to here. Both of these come with check. Both of these are guarded. Well, if we push our e-pawn, then they won't be guarded. So we do need to be a little bit cautious here. So be guarded by our queen and our dark squared bishop. This would... let's see. Actually, maybe we just take this and then develop our... Yeah, so what I like better here is bishop takes back, and then we can develop our knight with tempo. And then push e6, and then complete our kingside development. They take back. Knight comes out. No problem. Bishop back to d3 looks decent here. Bishop to f3. It's fine as well. Their bishop will be sort of pointing away from in this direction, pointing to this small defensive structure that we have here. We'll play e6. They may push here. I don't mind. C takes d5, forming this nice defensive structure that we often get in the caro-kann, and permitting knight out to c6. They play a knight out. We could throw in a check. With c3, I don't think that accomplishes anything for real, so we can take the time to find a better developing square for a bishop. If you've seen me play it before, you know that I like bishop to d6, preparing bishop to c7, queen to d6, queen to h2, checkmate. So a very potent threat, but I like to deliver on that after we get castled. They don't have their knight on f3 right now, so this feels like a good threat to be making. Oh, c4, perhaps preparing c5, but I think that is sort of a weakening move. Now I think we can play this, either one of these checks, and it comes with a little bit more sting. That's very interesting. Very, very interesting. We could also push c5. If they take, we can take back. And that opens up our knight to c6 idea. Very interesting. So if we come out here, they might play like bishop to d2. We can't take this pawn because it's guarded by the knight. Of these, I like c5 the best. If they want to come down here, it's fine by me. If they castle, we will castle in turn. And we can finish our maneuver here. The danger of performing the maneuver before castling. Okay, that's fine. Actually, do we want to reinforce this pawn at all? Or take? Because I don't like the idea of if they take, then we I guess that opens up the F file for attacking. Let's go ahead and get castled. And then open up the F file. Or make it semi-open. I don't see why not. Perhaps I will discover why not. Near future, okay. They bring their dark square bishop out, or rather than castling. Doesn't seem like a great idea. Maybe we take here. They've got plenty of defenders on that pawn, so maybe taking isn't the best idea. Interesting. We take, that gives them a nice stronghold for some piece. But if we take and they take back with the pawn, we can push and open up the idea of this check again, which I like. Any other developing moves we want to play? We could play like knight out to a6. I want to hold off on that to see what happens with this pawn here. Queen is a little bit overloaded, protecting pieces here, although the knight is protected by the pawn, which is good. Okay, this permits us to push this pawn, allowing one of these checks, which I think is appealing. But doesn't allow us, we need some way. Yeah, let's push this pawn first. It's undefended but unattacked. I'm surprised they haven't castled yet. They had another defender. I guess this is like an isolated queen's pawn situation. So it doesn't have any friends on either side. But it's sort of a target. So we need to develop thoughtfully here. How can we add more pressure to this pawn? Queen to b6 doesn't add more pressure to the pawn, but it does. You know what? Queen to b6 loses our queen to bishop takes. So I think, in fact, that is a bad move. Queen to a5 pins the knight. That looks decent. We could get our knight out here. I don't like knight to d7 because it interrupts contact between the queen and the bishop. So yeah, let's get our knight out to a6, and then maybe we play like knight to c5 and then play b6 to reinforce it. Maybe we even play b6 first. Just waiting for our opponent to castle, and then maybe we can complete that maneuver. Yeah, we didn't want to go there anyways. I guess they could play this. We could en passant if we wanted to. They take with their queen, and they lose a defender on the pawn. Okay. Some ideas here. Go ahead and get our knight out here. If they do want to play this, we have the option of knight to b3, which is a very advanced knight. Interesting. We have a check available to us. We have two checks available to us. We've got 24 minutes. Let's take some time to analyze. Knight to d3. Check. Queen captures is terrible because it loses the queen. Trading the queen for a knight I don't think is a good idea. The king has to move. 1, 2, 3 squares to move to. Where might the king go? If it moves to a dark square, we have another check available to us. And I believe their knight could come back and block that. If the king moves to the dark square, we also have... oh, that's not a check. Never mind. I was thinking knight takes b2, but that's not a check. What else do we have available to us? Or if the king moves to one of the light squares, can we do anything interesting? I don't believe so. I mean, we could throw in another check, but I think everywhere that we could check it loses the knight. Like here, it loses to the bishop. And if it moves to f1, I don't believe we have anything available to us. But we ruin castling rights at least, which I like. Let's do that. And then we have this nice advanced knight. They don't have any threats on this c4 pawn. And if they want to move to this dark square, which I think is unlikely, I wouldn't move. Yeah, I think moving to this light square, still keeping the rooks sort of open, I think that's a stronger idea. Can we press our advantage here? I guess first of all, is this knight threatening anything gross? It could be threatened taking here. What are its other sort of destinations? Loses the knight, trades a piece. Maybe d4, and then c3 is where it came from, and there's a piece there. So I think either one of these squares, I think they're likely to trade their knight for a dark square bishop, leaving us with 2 knights and leaving them with the bishop pair. We could take this pawn here. It's an idea. Doesn't come with a check, but it does hit their queen. And then we could always move back to this nice safe square. One appealing idea. If we got a knight on c3, we could fork them like that. So let's go and take this pawn that's guarding the c3 square. Get their queen out of the way. And then back. Oh, if we had a pawn here, that could be a fork. Oh, we're getting into pretty dangerous territory, I would say. I like taking that pawn. Now, what defenders do they have on this d5 pawn? What can we do about that? Now, they take the pawn. Okay. Our knight is hanging. So I think we drop our knight back. Drop our knight back here, hitting the queen and the bishop, potentially trading off the bishop. Yeah, I think that's the move. So drop our knight back. They should move their queen back because all these squares will lose their queen in a nasty trade. They could move to, like, I don't know, out laterally. No, these all lose the queen. Can't stay in place. These are not forkable squares when they're separated like this. Now, these are forkable squares. But I think important that we take this bishop, take one of the defenders of this pawn. They intermezzo, take our dark squared bishop. This is, oh, we're so close to forking their king and their queen. I want that so badly. King takes or pawn takes. I think these are equally bad. Their king is out in the open. We are basically on a king hunt now. Pawn takes. How can we teleport our knight over here? So we can pick up this pawn. We could pin their dark squared bishop to their king. That looks dangerous. We could throw in a check on their king. Where does their king go if we move queen to a6? None of these squares. I don't think that accomplishes anything for us, really. So maybe we, yeah, take here. Get a rook out to c8, hitting their queen and operating on the open c file. Get a rook over to e8 on the open e file. Our king is tucked away into safety on g8. Let's force this issue. Actually, what if we hit their king first? I like hitting their king because it's likely to move to the back rank in a way that's going to impede development of one of their rooks. Yep. This check looks sort of appealing now. King moves to here or here. Ooh. Now are we approaching checkmate territory? I think if we could do like a rook lift. And that looks like just about checkmate. We do have this rook guarding the back rank because we are in danger of back rank checkmate right now. If our rook wasn't there, queen down to c8 would be checkmate, but we can take it back. This is not checkmate. I think they either have to trade their queen for a rook, or if they get their bishop in the way, then we take it, and that's checkmate. So they've got to do something pretty amazing here. I don't know what that would be. I think we're just going to win this game. They play pawn to h4, creating a new escape square for their king. That's a good idea. So move over here, and their king can escape to h2. We have a check available to us. Yeah, I think we still throw this in. Oh, now I see. That's much cleaner. Yeah. 18 minutes to find a way to checkmate this person. Do we want to throw in this check? No, I don't think so, because it moves their bishop out over there. I guess that does allow us to play like knight to f4 if that does anything for us. But I don't think it does. Is there another way we can add an attacker to this g5 square? We could play h6, also mitigating the rank of back rank checkmate. Let's do that. Oh, they move out of the way. I don't think that's correct. Let's proceed thoughtfully. Queen check. They move up to h3. We can't quite get... oh, here we go. Can't get here because their f3 pawn is blocking it. But I think we can get closer. So let's... Yeah. Queen to d6. Bishop comes in, that it just loses the bishop, so the king has to move to h3. Knight to f4, check. We trade. And then I guess they get a move to do something, but I don't think they can. I don't think they're bringing any threats to bear right now. Their rooks aren't developed. So let's check. Knight over to, yep. Are there any other checks that we can throw in? We could, like, rook up here to scare away this one? No. That doesn't work. We need to get our... This pawn is blocking the queen checkmate only, so let's check. And then here we go. So I think we can... we'll probably trade here. They threaten our rook. But I think, let's see, check. Queen moves to h2. Oh, we don't quite have it, do we? We can't take f2 because we trade queens. So close. I think we do take this piece. Okay. Rook comes into block. Very interesting. We can't come back to here because this rook is guarding that square. Could do a rook trade. So I guess it would be rook takes, pawn takes, and then we have queen check, loses our queen to their queen. I don't think then we have another check available to us. Their king is so exposed. I think, oh man. We go ahead and make this rook trade. And then retreat our queen for a brief moment. Maybe, yeah, back to f6 to hit their rook, which is hanging. Expecting to see rook to c1, in which case we have h6. Rook to c1 would be threatening back rank mate, so they play that. And if we play some like dummy move, they have queen to c8 check, rook takes c8, rook takes c8 checkmate because their king has nowhere to go. It's a back rank checkmate. Yep. So we can create an escape hatch for our king. I have this sticky on my monitor, snorkel thoughtfully, creating like this snorkel for our king. Basically what that means is when creating these escape hatches, when creating these snorkel squares, don't automatically play the pawn on the rim of the board, like h6, a6, h3, a3. But consider if there's a better way to create an escape square for the king. And I think in this case, g5 looks appealing. Allows our king to escape here. They can no longer do that back rank mate idea. And we threaten their h4 pawn. So one of the last pieces of defensive infrastructure around their king. We could also queen over to e6. But I think that just scares their king back to one of these squares, which doesn't really accomplish anything for us. So I'm going to play g5. Create an escape hatch for our king. If they want to move forward with their plan, they will lose their queen for a rook. And I think that is a fine trade. Takes. And we are not yet threatening checkmate, but I think we are close. Rook comes over to f1. Not certain why. Maybe wanting to do a queen trade. I think here we have queen over to h5 check. King to g2. If anywhere we can move to like... I would love to fork their king and their rook somehow. Maybe we play this first. We could come out to d5. I think I've seen this called like a series of meaningless checks. Doesn't actually accomplish anything. Rook over to e8 looks good. Yeah, rook over to e8. Oh, and there we go. Forking. King and the queen, supported by our queen. So they need to move their king or their queen out of the way. And I don't know what's a good move for our opponent here. They don't have any checks they can throw in. They have a lot of piece sacrifices that I don't think would be any good. Maybe rook down to f5 looks good. But then we still have rook to e2, check. They move their king. No, they can't move their king there. They move their king out of the way. Oh, and then we have checkmate there. Or if they move their king here, we have a nasty looking check. Okay. Here we go. So this looks like a checkmate threat. I don't think it actually is. I think, in fact, we have the stronger idea of rook up to e2, still a good move. Their escape squares are super duper limited. Because their queen is covering this diagonal escape, and here, these two. Okay, so rook to e2, king to g1, queen to h2, supported by the rook, and their queen is blocking, or their pawn on g3 is blocking access to our queen. So I think that is checkmate. Oh, no, actually, yeah, they have rook up. Good move from our opponent. Could we play queen check here? Driving their king away, maybe? I think we should do that. The rook is pinned. They move away, we capture their rook. I think more likely they will move. Okay, yeah, they move up there. Another rook check doesn't really accomplish anything, it doesn't seem like. Here we go, pinning. This pins the rook to the king, probably queen up to f4. Rook check. Oh man, this feels like a puzzle. I feel like we're almost there. Just need that last bit of oomph before we can get it. We could throw in this rook check, and then I think they'll move their rook to block. Queen. I wonder if we can just sort of wiggle our queen up into position until we can drive their king away from their rook. Something like this. So I think king to h2, I think, is checkmate. So I think rook to f1 is the move here. Queen to d4 check. King to g2. Rook to e2, rook back. Yeah, so I think we can sort of wiggle our queen up to be close enough to deliver something more dangerous. I think we've got him. Yep. Move up with check. Move up here. This is a neat mechanism. I want to explore this a little bit after the game and see if it could have played out any differently. So I think we have this. We sort of gradually get closer and closer on the vertical and horizontal movements, and then eventually I think we'll have a diagonal queen takes rook, supported by our rook, delivering check or checkmate to their king. Okay, cool. They move their king out to h3, supported by the pawn. Oh, that's a good move. I think we almost had him there. Let's see. And now this is checkmate. Queen to f7 checkmate. Could move this pawn up. We could move this pawn to a spot where it's protected by our queen. We don't have any checks that we can deliver that keep our piece. Yeah, so I like maybe f6 here, interrupting their rook's access to the f7 square. Other potential moves, adding a defender to the f7 square with ooh, yeah. I like queen to d5 more because then we're threatening queen to h5 checkmate. Let's do that. If they want to take, we can take. They take back, and then we have our king as a defender. Our king is defending this pawn. It's a tense in-game. I've only got 8.5 minutes left. Our opponent is finding some wonderful defensive resources, so kudos to them for playing through. But if they want to move like a4, for example, then I believe we have checkmate here on h5. Okay, they play a check. We don't have anything else to do here. Oh, they got us. Oh, they got me good. They're gonna win our rook. They're gonna win our rook. All right. Well, what's the best we can do here? They take with check. We just trade queens. Oh no, we don't trade queens. What mercy from our opponent. What a blunder. What a bummer. I think we can clean up pretty effectively here. We'll use our queen to mop up the remaining pawns. And then I guess actually we just start pushing a pawn, huh? We pick up the rook here. What a blunder from our opponent. How disappointing from a very well thought game. Very well fought game. Oh, sorry, I was on the analysis tab the whole time. So I guess the clocks did not appear correctly during the video. My apologies. Let's take a look at the game real quick. Oh, I'm adjusting the volume on my computer. It's not quite correct. Classic caro-kann. Oh, the correct move here is queen takes d4. That's right, because they leave this pawn hanging. It's my mistake. Something I should know from my opening theory practice, and I biffed it. Messed it up. Preparing this battery. Let's see. It seems as though c5 was a blunder here. Oh, I see. D takes c5, opening up queen and pawn attack on this bishop. And then if we take back, we lose our... Or we don't lose our queen, but we lose castling rights. We trade queens. Oh, and they also have... Geez. Bishop out to b7, taking our rook for free. Oh, that looks really bad. I should study the mainline caros a little bit more thoroughly. I think I'll make that a priority going forward here. Just sort of watching the analysis bar. Advantage for black here. Yeah, I think this knight to d3 move was very strong. We get this nice advanced outpost for our knight. King to f1. Not the strongest move here. What was the right move here? Bishop to f4. Bishop to f4. Oh, I see. Supported by our knight. It's another check. Yeah, that does look nasty. Or rook to e8. Yeah, pinning this dark squared bishop. That looks very good too. So missed opportunity there. They have an opportunity to take our pawn. We retreat our knight. Trade, 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 trade. Black showing a substantial advantage here. I think we do have a strong attack. Queen to a6 check looks good. We have rook to e8 check. And I think what the engine is reflecting here is just the strong attack for black. Our opponent played very well, avoiding some serious mating threats. They found the right moves. King to h2 is mate in 1. With rook to g2 checkmate. Oh, that's cool. So like that, supported by the knight. That's a very cool checkmate. That's not what happened. Let's see. They takes. This is correct and sort of somewhat equalizes the position. Oh no, black is still way better here. Just a handful of legal moves from our opponent. I think here, rook to d8 would have been strong. Yeah. h5, b5. So pushing any of our pawns would have been really strong here. Our opponent consistently finding, I think, all the right moves. Queen to d4 check. I missed a forced mate here. So what's next? Queen to e4 check. Nope, that equalizes. Queen to e4 check was correct here. Or no, there's stronger, more forcing moves. Queen to d2 check. I see. All of these are forced mate. The longest is king to h3, but that wins us the rook. Did I mess this up? I did mess this up. Yeah. Okay. So missed. I got so in my head about this mechanism of alternating queen moves and rook moves to deliver check. I didn't see the opportunity for queen to d2 check fully driving the king away or having the opportunity to force a checkmate. And then it equalizes. Yeah, huge advantage for white here. We lose our rook. And then, yeah, bummer of a blunder for white. I do feel bad for our opponent here. But yeah, we pick up the rook and then it's mate in 7. Well, it's the way it goes sometimes. You make some misses of your own, and your opponent makes the misses, and just whoever makes the last blunder ends up the victor. Yeah, I think the main lesson for me here is snorkel thoughtfully, which I did, I think, more or less successfully, and study the caro-kann mainlines. That's what I'm going to get into next, some caro-kann mainlines. All right, that's all for me. Have a good one, y'all.